The beauty of the NFL is that the franchises who wallow in the doldrums of the league, the worst of the worst, are always, at least seemingly, a franchise quarterback away from turning everything around. That's why Arch Manning looming in next year's draft has the entire bottom third of the league salivating. The hype has been sky high for a few years now. Yes, he got off to a rocky start at the beginning of last season, but when I dove into the second half of his year, really got into the nitty-gritty, the hype is more than justified. On this channel, we like looking at the stats, then the film, remove as much of the hype and bluster as possible. Well, I am all in on Arch Manning. He's extremely tough, he has excellent pocket presence, can diagnose complicated defenses, he's a plus runner, and despite being under pressure and blitzed all over the place, he excelled again and again. The Texas offensive line was horrible, his receivers kept dropping passes repeatedly, but Arch just kept coming and laid down incredible tape. One of the things that impresses me most was how successful he was against these insanely complicated defenses. Michigan threw a million different looks at him. These college defenses are really getting crazy, cause look at everything Arch has to deal with here. On 3rd and 12, it looks like Texas is running a sail concept, attacking 3 different levels of the defense. If the curl flat defender jumps a receiver, it should leave the other open, but Michigan is coming out in what looks to be straight man coverage. When there are multiple cornerbacks on the same side, it's typically man. If it's man coverage, you can hope that one of these outbreaking routes will beat one of the defenders to the sideline. But Michigan is disguising zone, where they're dropping into a split field coverage, meaning they're splitting the field into halves, where they're playing one coverage up here and another down here. Oftentimes to the 3 receiver side, defenses like to play box, where the inside linebacker walls off the inside, then the defender plays the flat for the first outside threat, then we have 2 more deep, first outside threat deep, first inside threat deep. This creates the box. Usually this deeper route runs off the cornerback to open up the intermediate route. Because Michigan is playing box, Jaden Sanders falls off the deep corner and Elijah Dotson is able to peel off the flat. So Arch has to read all of this out, attack this tiny little window, and it's incomplete, but look at the placement, it's perfect. I love the way he paces the ball. You can totally see how important arm strength is here. Too high and soft, it's incomplete out of bounds. Too low and it's batted away or intercepted. This location, this is fantastic. Then there was this example against Georgia. I'm telling you, these SEC defenses are no fun at all. You're going to see some of the craziest disguises, some of the craziest rotations, simulated pressures, all of it. Where Georgia is trying to show this blitz look with 5 on the line, showing man coverage over the slot with a safety in the deep middle, but at the snap, look at what they do. They drop into zone coverage, blitz their linebacker, drop their ends into the middle hooks, and this coverage rotation is called cover 2 zone invert, because it has 2 deep defenders defending deep halves, but instead of both safeties, they invert a corner and safety. This changes Arch's pre and post snap read. Initially against man coverage, you want these mesh routes because both guys are running away from their defenders. It's hard to catch them. But Georgia drops into zone. In typical cover 2 zone, Arch would read this corner since both safeties would be dropping back deep. But now he's to process it's zone and not man, who the new defender is he's trying to vertically stretch, then put this ball, just like our last play, over his head while he's racing straight back. Once again, soft enough that he lofts it over him, but hard enough that he beats the safety flying over the top. On these longer developing plays, the throw is obviously important, but so is the quarterback's ability to extend the play by maneuvering the pocket and creating more time, which Arch is excellent at. For example, Texas is running this fake screen scissors concept they run all the time, where Arch pump fakes the bubble screen to see if the corner is flying down to make a play. Then they have a scissors concept, a quarters beater on the back side. Michigan was showing Arch man coverage tells all day long, trying to align 2 defenders straight over Parker Livingston and Jake Endries. So Texas uses a yo-yo motion to see if Cole Sullivan, the linebacker, follows Endries, the tight ends, or not. If he does outside, it's probably man coverage. If it's zone, you don't want a linebacker here on an island. So when Sullivan doesn't follow, Arch knows it's zone coverage on the back side. He sees the fake screen isn't working, but when he comes back, neither is scissors. This should be a good coverage to use scissors against, force the too high safety to choose the post or corner, but that's why Michigan is playing Tampa 2 zone coverage to protect this post route they know is coming. So Arch starts running to put pressure on that Tampa backer, then flips the post over his head for another incredible play. Here it happens again with the same exact play just a week before, where Arch, like I said, was the 6th most pressured quarterback in the country, but he's able to use his feet to get out of pressure, then again find his guy deep over the middle on the post. Speaking of that pressure, I believe it's actually a good thing to see him handle these muddy pockets and attack you deep. A lot of big-time QB prospects at big-time schools have elite offensive linemen, so it's harder to determine how he'll handle pressure at the NFL level. This makes it harder to scout him, honestly, because there's so much projection involved, but Arch dealt with muddy pockets often and still excelled. Not only that, but he handled being blitzed very well, also 6th most in the country, where with pressure, when blitzed, he still cooked. This is one of my favorite plays because he doesn't look to the sideline. These coaches always have these cards for everybody on offense and defense to look at. Well, what I like about Arch here is that he's not looking at all and can dissect Georgia's called an all-out cover 0 blitz. So he knows it's going to be man coverage, and if in fact Raylan Wilson does come, we'll have a deep safety on Quintravian Wisner with plenty of room to run after the catch. I even like how Arch feels the extra rusher coming off the left side, knows that cover 0 means he'll have one free runner coming no matter what. He slides to his right a bit and makes the throw. Now, there was certainly a lot of talk about his mechanical struggles, and while that can be challenging to dissect, we've seen Phillip Rivers have tons of success with wonky mechanics, we've seen Josh Allen change his mechanics at the next level, so while we're looking at Arch throwing here, take it all with a grain of salt. To show what his mechanics look like and should look like, let's bring up a side-by-side with Joe Burrow here, somebody I consider to have absolutely perfect, flawless, easy mechanics. The first thing I notice is how Burrow looks more fluid in his drop and his gait is wider. A wide gait isn't imperative. We've seen different quarterbacks use different tactics, where Peyton Manning tap danced as much as possible to be ready to throw whenever. Breeze had an extremely wide gait to be in constant position to have his base activated to throw. But for some quarterbacks, like Carson Wentz, overextending your gait can lead to a lack of rotation and the ball will sail. For Arch here, a very small gait actually seems to do that too. His step is so small that it's forcing his top half to do all of the rotation and all of the work, so he's not getting his lower body activated to create maximum power like Burrow is. I mean, look at how Burrow has his hips, shoulders, and head connected. They're all in sync, all moving towards the same point, all working together to create accuracy and velocity. Whereas for Arch, his hips are kinda locked out, it messes with the rotation in his delivery and creates an awkward looking motion. The last thing I want to note is his head movement. This actually goes for all football positions, and even all athletes. I was told long ago by an old scout that you can determine athleticism by the amount of movement from an athlete's head, where a good athlete's head is barely or even not moving at all when he's throwing, running, hitting, whatever, compared to Burrow, Arch's is all over the place. I don't think his mechanics are a gigantic red flag, just wanted to tackle an obvious flaw in his game that's gotten a lot of hype. And it's clearly something he can work on. Whereas something that's very much a green flag, I love his ability to move. We've reached an era where damn near every quarterback is able to at least have some mobility, so now we need to determine who has average mobility and who has plus ability. Arch ranges much closer to plus, where he's not Lamar Jackson, but he is going to be a threat in the QB run game, he is a great scrambler, and he's able to add that extra element with his legs that takes him up another level as a prospect. I am high on him. Usually I feel like I come in kinda pessimistic to these overhyped guys and I'm almost never as high on them, but Arch, to me, is legit. It'll be fascinating to see teams potentially race to the bottom, that first overall pick to get him, in a league where I believe tanking rarely, if ever, happens. There are some bad NFL teams heading into 2026, let alone 2027 when he comes out, and one of these bad teams will unfortunately be the ones rostering Arch a year from now. The question is he that good, that special of a prospect that he can become one of the Joe Burrows that turns a historically shoddy franchise around? I believe yes. Because of his toughness, his ability to navigate the pocket and extend it, he's already deciphering extremely complex defenses, he has great running ability and thrives under pressure. This is what an elite prospect looks like, and he has an entire another season to grow in college football. Arch is the man, he is the future of the NFL. But first, let's see him grow this year as a prospect, then turn a horrible team and the NFL completely on their head.